I was like wanting to do something else. I was wanting to like try new things. So I wrote down like just a ton of ideas. And one of them was this concept of highway sing-alongs. When you're stuck in traffic, especially in LA, you're going like sometimes like 2 miles an hour. And I was what if you just like try to get somebody to sing along with you while you're stuck in this like gridlock traffic? I asked a friend to like film one with me, and that was the Backstreet Boys one. You are my fire. So for the second one, I went with a more classic song, Building Up Buttercup. And that is the one that has like blown up and continues to do really, really well. And people will come back and watch it. It was being featured on like news shows around the world, like Good Morning America. There was like European news shows that were talking about it in the morning. And then Nissan reached out and they were like, we want to make a commercial based on this concept. And I was like, okay.
Now talking a bit sort of in terms of like YouTube and stuff like that and sort of music, whatever and stuff. Like you obviously and stuff like that, you've done YouTube content and stuff like that. You've done stuff with like the Warp Zone and all that, which we're gonna like sort of cover later and stuff. But you're sort of most known for your Highway Sing Along series and stuff like that, sort of right at the beginning. So sort of how did the YouTube channel you wanted to create content? How did that all come about? And then how did you create that Highway Sing Along series?
Yeah. So I started doing YouTube in 2009. It was like November 2009. I was still in college, and I started making, I was really into the concept of medleys, where like you take a song with the same chord progression, two songs with the same chord progression, and you more or less like mash them up together. Which is like a big thing at that point in time, late 2000s. Like DJ Earworm, if you remember
Hmm.
that, or if any of your viewers
Very
remember that.
vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, that was like his thing. It's like he would take a bunch of different pops. He would make an end of the year mashup. He may still be doing it. I don't know. And he would take all these like radio pop songs and combine them into like a very long track, and it would just kind of seamlessly transition from song to song, and generally and like intermix different lines from different parts of the songs, because a lot of them would have the same chord progression. It was a fascinating thing. So at that point in time, I was really into that. So I started making these really awkward medleys where I would play it on my acoustic guitar that my best friend gave me 3 years ago. Just like me sitting in my college dorm room. And at one point, I put 100 songs together and I called it the 100 song medley. And it was so long, it took like 14 minutes to play through, that my little video camera was a flip camera. That was like this type of camera back then, and it could only record for like 10 minutes at a time, and at 10 minutes it would like end the recording. So I split it up into two parts. I had to split it up into two, part one and part two. This is so embarrassing. And so I stopped. I think I stopped playing at the end of part one, and then like hit record again, part two. And so I had to upload them as like two separate videos: 100 song medley part one, 100 song medley part two. Anyway, so that's what started my YouTube video career, whatnot. That was these medleys. Um, and I was inspired to get into YouTube because of my college friend Kurt Hugo Schneider, who is like a big. Have you heard of him before?
Yeah, like I've heard like through different people saying about him, yeah.
Yeah. So he doesn't. Back in the day, he would do a lot of music videos using a green screen and the like multiple versions of the same person. So like record. It would be an a cappella song, and so then when they did the video, they would record the same person in like different areas of the room or whatever, singing the different parts. And it was like a very cool visual trick. It was way early YouTube. This is like 2008 YouTube. YouTube started in like 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. So
Yeah.
it was a big deal. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying like yeah, 2005, like you're right, yeah.
Yeah. So it was at that time, it was fascinating. It was a big thing that like people were doing visual green screen tricks, and it was in music and all of it combined. So Kurt did what before we even graduated college. Kurt had already been on the Oprah show and the Ellen show. And
Wow.
it was like, where do you go from there? like that was like,
Yeah, like
um
oh god, and that sort of like when you were sort of seeing, because obviously you know what I mean, he was a mate of yours and stuff like that. When you were seeing like all the success he was getting, whatever, like you must have been thinking like wow, like sort of, because that was early days of YouTube where people weren't really getting on talk shows and stuff. So it must have been mental to see your friend being like, wow, look how well he's doing.
yeah, exactly. And it was like, I should try it. There's something to this. I should try this. I should figure out what I can do, on this platform and whatnot. And it was also, it was really creative freedom to like do whatever you want. I was in a band at the time. We were at a pop punk slash slightly metal. uh I wouldn't call it metal. What would I call it? We would throw in like metal breakdowns in our songs for
Mhm.
funsies. um and we had like a scream. Technically we had a screamer as well. So that, that like late 2000s early 2010s, yeah, late 2000s early 2010s screamo. It was like screamo pop punk is what I would say it was. um and so, when you have a group of people who are like working together to create a creative endeavor, there's a lot of give and take, especially with like a band. There's some songs that are going to be like, your baby, and there's some songs that are going to be somebody else's baby, and you're going to have to like collaborate together and give and take. And so with the YouTube side of things, it was like a way to be, I could really just pursue like whatever I wanted it to, whatever these creative outputs. I had full control basically, and just like it was a different dynamic, and that was very interesting to me. So it was like, and even nowadays, like I love having the different options. So I love doing acting, like on a set, being an actor, where it's like I grew up playing football, American football, and in any like team based dynamic, it's generally each person does their job to the best of their ability. And when everybody does their own personal job, then the whole thing works together really well.
Your YouTube channel led to like I said, you know what I mean, you had your fantastic highway sing-along series and stuff. Like, you know what I mean, it's got like so much sort of like attention, and I've seen
Yeah,
the
yeah.
comments, people love like that stuff. They say they go back to it now even. Like what, how did that all come about, and what was all that like at the time?
Right. So Kurt, my buddy, we ended up, we moved together to Los Angeles shortly after graduating college in 2010. And we I kind of just kept doing my own little YouTube stuff, and helping him with his channel as well. At one point, I was like, I got to try different things. I got to try. Uh, I was doing music videos. They're mostly covers, because like that was kind of how you, and generally on YouTube, that was how you had success back then, and even kind of nowadays. It's like you take a song that exists and you do like your own version of it, your own spin on it. And I was like wanting to do something else. I was wanting to like try new things. So I wrote down like just a ton of ideas. And one of them was this concept of highway sing-alongs, where it's like when you're stuck in traffic, especially in LA, you're going like sometimes like 2 miles an hour. Uh, and I was like, what if you just like try to get somebody to sing along with you while you're stuck in this like gridlock traffic? And that works really well in LA because that happens all the time. It's not rush hour, it's like rush day from 7 a.m. to like 7 p.m. There's traffic on the 405, which is like the one of the main highways. So I asked a friend to like film one with me, and that was the Backstreet Boys one. You are my fire. And so like the audience was super passionate, the people that was like filming on the highway, but it was like a bit limited. It was like, like millennials, maybe some Gen Xers, and that's it. None of the boomers that were on the highway knew this song. So for the second one, I went with a more classic song, Building Up Buttercup, which I felt like, pretty much everybody knows. And that is the one that has like blown up and continues to do really, really well. And people will come back and watch it. but it didn't take off at first. I had posted it in like, I don't know, June or something, May or June of that year. And it didn't really take off until like August. So a couple months later, I think somebody posted it to Reddit, and it hit like that was like the front page of the internet back then. Eventually it like hit the #1 spot or whatever. And so like that particular video took off, and that's what really launched the whole thing, was it being posted on Reddit. And then within like 24, 48 hours, it was being featured on like news shows around the world, like Good Morning America. There was like European news shows that were talking about it in the morning. I got interviewed by what was it? Not Dateline, but like Insider Edition or something. It's an American
Inside
news.
Edition, I think. Yeah.
Inside Edition, yeah. And some other stuff. And then Nissan reached out, and they were like, we want to make a commercial based on this concept. And I was like, okay. And that ended up like running during the Super Bowl and the baseball World Series and stuff like that. So the concept has done very well from that particular moment.